Hello everyone. Today we're going to turn an old motorcycle spark plug into a simple but effective homemade welding machine. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is loosen the contact tip where it connects to the spark plug cap. You should also prepare a similar wire. I will connect this wire to the spark plug. But first, we need to strip about 2 centimeters of the outer insulation. Now, I'll start making the connection, as you can see on the screen here. Take the stripped end of the wire and insert it into the part of the spark plug that we just loosened. Wrap it tightly to ensure good contact, because if it's loose, the current won't flow evenly, just like when you plug something into a loose outlet. Pro tip: if your wire is a bit stiff, bend it slightly to make it easier to insert. I remember first time I did this. I ruined a spark plug because I was too hasty, but now it's all smooth. Next, I will connect the remaining end of the wire to the threaded part of the spark plug. Next, I'll strip the outer insulation of the other end of the wire, about 8 to 9 centimeters. You can follow my measurement or adjust it based on the wire you have at home. Remember to strip slowly to avoid cutting the copper strands inside. Now I'll connect the other end of the wire to the spark plug. Do you see the gasket ring on the spark plug? That's the ideal spot to connect because it's secure and makes good contact. Wrap the wire around that groove a few times, like tying shoelaces, to make sure it doesn't slip off. The reason we do this is to give the current a stable path, avoiding flickering like when your lights blink because of loose wiring. And honestly, that feeling of seeing a wire neatly and securely wrapped in the exact spot it's supposed to be, it's just much more reassuring, like when you see your front door lock properly closed. Use pliers to trim off any excess, so it's neat. Cut close, but don't leave too much sticking out, or it will get in the way later. Handy tip: keep the pliers perpendicular for a clean cut. I have a slightly longer piece of wire here. Take any end of the wire and use pliers to strip off about 2 to 3 centimeters of the outer insulation. Then, connect it directly to the ground electrode of the spark plug. Wrap it tightly by hand as I'm doing, because this part needs a firm contact for the welding machine to work well. I once used this method to fix the iron fence in my garden, and it stayed solid for years now. Actually, the nice thing about doing it yourself here is that you're not only saving money on buying premium wires or accessories, but also making use of old wires you thought were useless. The feeling of reusing old stuff and still creating something that works perfectly is as fun as finding a folded bill in an old coat pocket. To make it even more secure, I wrapped a few layers of tape around the threaded part of the spark plug and the wire connection to the ground electrode. The tape helps with insulation and fastening, preventing moisture or knocks from loosening it. Follow this step. It's simple but very effective. Connect the other end of the wire to the alligator clip. Thread the wire through the hole of the clip. Tighten the screw to secure it, then wrap tape around the joint. Doing it this way will prevent the wire from slipping and protect it from dust. A small tip: choose a sturdy alligator clip because it will be clamped onto battery later. A loose clip will cause the current to be interrupted, and trust me, nothing is more annoying than having the power flicker like a blinking light in the middle of your work. If you want to be extra sure, you can wrap a few extra turns of wire around the clip's shaft before tightening the screw. I've tried this method before, and it made the connection much stronger. I remember back in the day, when fixing my nephew's bicycle, I often used this clip for a temporary connection, and it saved me from a lot of trouble. Once, the brake bolt fell off somewhere, so I used the alligator clip to clamp the brake cable directly to the bike frame, and my nephew still rode around for the whole afternoon. I've already made another wire with 2 alligator clips at both ends. The method is simple. You just follow the way I connected the wire to the clip earlier and apply it to both ends. Easy as pie, right? For the end that connects to the spark plug cap, you can attach the welding tip inside. This type of AA battery is very common. You can easily buy it at any local electrical goods store. Use pliers to gently remove the outer casing of the battery, avoiding squeezing too hard and damaging the core. Once you've pried up one edge, slowly bend it open and place it directly into a plastic tray prepared next to you to avoid dirtying the workbench. Removing the casing helps access the core that contains chemical powder and the electrode. But remember to keep the tray close to collect the waste neatly. Use a knife to separate the top of the battery, gently twisting and pry around the edge until the metal layer fully comes off. Once the top is removed, slowly pull out the inner core. This is the heart of the battery. This core is usually wrapped quite firmly, so you don't need to worry about it being easily damaged, but it's still best to go slowly to avoid deforming it. When you take it out, place it directly into the prepared plastic tray. This keeps your workbench clean and prevents losing any pieces. Give me a glass cup and keep it there for now. We'll use it shortly. Now, use a knife to peel off the white plastic shell wrapping the outside of the battery and put it in the plastic tray. This shell is like an outer coat. Removing it reveals the actual metal layer. I don't think this will be difficult for the audience watching this video. Next, I'll peel off the outer metal casing of this battery using pliers. This is a step I've done countless times, so it's almost muscle memory now. Clamp the edge firmly, then pull slowly, like peeling the foil off a chocolate bar, steady hands, but careful enough not to scratch the core inside. Usually, this casing clings on very tightly, especially with batteries that have been sitting around for a while. So if it feels a bit stiff, you can gently twist the pliers or bend the edge first to loosen it up. Sometimes I come across batteries with slightly rusty casings, and when that happens, it makes this little crack sound that's oddly satisfying, but I still have to go slow to avoid bits flying off. One time, I tried rushing just to get over with, and the casing popped off, flew straight to the floor, and rolled out of sight under the cabinet. I ended up crawling around for ages to find it. Lesson learned. You can't rush this. Go slow, stay safe, and save yourself the cleanup. I'll reuse the metal sheet from the battery I just removed and cut it into small pieces with scissors to put into the glass cup. In a moment, I'll explain why these small metal pieces are useful. Cutting them small makes them easier to work with, just like chopping vegetables for a salad. I just went to the bathroom and got some toilet cleaner. You can easily buy it from any convenience store. Make sure not to get the wrong type, or if you don't have it at home, you can ask a friendly neighbor for some. Pour a bit into the glass cup containing the thin metal pieces. Wait a moment for the reaction to happen. It will clean them or create something we need for welding. I take back the battery core from earlier that's in the plastic tray and clean it with a soft cloth. Clean it well to remove dirt, because this part will be used for welding and it needs to be clean for the best results. Attach the battery core to the drill and grind its edge into a rounded shape. This will make welding easier. Before grinding, get the plastic tray from earlier to catch the debris. Rounding it ensures even contact and avoids sharp edges. Loosen the drill chuck to switch to the other end to grind. Still the same action of loosening, swapping ends, then tightening back into the drill. Simple, like changing a razor blade. Since I found it a bit too long for my needs, I decided to shorten it slightly. This makes it fit better in our welding machine. Once both ends are ground, remove it from the drill and place it on the table for now. Now I'll immediately connect it to the homemade device from earlier, the wire with one end attached to the spark plug and the other to the alligator clip. That's it. We've completed all the steps of the homemade welding machine. Just connect it to battery and it's ready to work. All right, everyone, now let's connect the two homemade devices to the battery. First, clamp one alligator clip from the spark plug device to the positive terminal of the battery. That's the one with the plus sign. Then use the wire with two alligator clips to connect the negative terminal of the battery to the remaining part. Clamp firmly and check to make sure it's not loose. Go slowly like I do, because safety comes first. If you see small sparks, that's a good sign. But remember to wear safety goggles. I once used this method to weld a metal bookshelf in my garage, and it's still sturdy today. The reason why this homemade welding machine works is actually quite simple, but it delights me like a child who just discovered candy hidden in the cupboard. We use a spark plug to create a powerful arc, so powerful that if it were a cartoon character, it would probably put on sunglasses and say, "Step back, I'm about to shine." Next is the AA battery, which I process and turn into a sharp welding tip, no less than the knives of those chefs in cooking TV shows. And finally, the connecting wires are made sturdy to ensure a stable current. No flickering, no running when in the mood, turning off when sad, like my old fan at home. I'm confident it will work just fine. Honestly, after 25 years of eating and sleeping in my own garage, I've handled all sorts of machines, from motorbikes, drills, lawn mowers, to one time foolishly opening a microwave to see how it works. Lesson learned. High voltage doesn't care how curious you are. It only cares about welcoming you with a shock you'll never forget. But in return, all those experiences help me make sure this welding machine runs smoother and safer than a Starbucks coffee made to the exact recipe. When I was young and still had a full head of hair, I once made a similar version. That time, my grandmother said the iron gate had a broken hinge, and hiring a repairman would be a bit painful for the wallet. So I pulled out my tools and welded it. She stood watching, both worried and laughing because a bright white arc lit up the whole yard like we were hosting a festival. When I finished, she not only thanked me, but also bragged to the whole neighborhood. My grandson just fixed the gate and added lighting decoration too. That moment made me realize DIY projects like this don't just save money. They also create family stories, the kind you'll retell to your children and grandchildren years later. Old things are no longer trash, but opportunities to create something both useful and that makes you feel just a bit smarter. And trust me, that feeling can be bought on Amazon or eBay. But then again, DIY always has its downsides. I remember the first time I tried making a welding machine from a spark plug. I was so excited that I forgot one tiny but fatal detail: not attaching the ground wire. The result was that the arc still lit up, but instead of welding metal, it welded the pliers I was holding directly to the metal table. At that moment, I had to laugh while prying them apart, and the table seemed to say, "Sorry, but me and these pliers are a couple now. Please don't interfere." There was also another time when I brought the homemade welding machine to show a friend. He looked at it from top to bottom and asked, "This thing actually works?" It looks more like something the FBI would confiscate during an airport luggage inspection than a repair tool. Yet, when I turned it on, sparks flew, and he froze for a few seconds, then said, "All right, lend it to me." My door hinge has been squeaking for 5 years now. And that's what I love about projects like this. They start with doubt, but end with excitement. People realize that sometimes things that look simple and a bit crazy can work even better than high-priced store-bought items. If you try making it and succeed, tell me about it. Who knows, I might learn a new trick from you, and maybe, in the next video, I'll upgrade this welding machine so it can pour my morning coffee for me. And if you find this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. If not, this welding machine might get sad and quietly weld your fridge door shut. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video, where I might make something so crazy and dangerous that the neighbors will pull up chairs to watch.